basically what it's all about is freeing us from the stories that we've told ourselves. The things that we believe to be true, the things that we believe that we deserve. And like I've been talking about, these are things that we start to tell ourselves as children. And it's really interesting because the reason I'm actually doing these 8-part series and I've been doing 12-part series for a while. The reason I'm sitting down and doing this is because I've put a lot of work, like 19 years, into developing my own way of helping people heal. And not only do I want to be able to facilitate healing with people, but I want people to be able to heal themselves and to be able to heal others. And in order to do that, you need to have a system that is simple, yet very, very powerful. And I would say that, the years that I spent in energy medicine, I was a practitioner, then I was teaching, then I was training to teach other workshops. That really started my journey of healing. But I would say that, getting cancer multiple times, thinking that I was dying multiple times, and navigating challenges in life was actually what really helped me embody and experience what healing actually meant. And so that's what I've been saying as I've put this together. This is just my little rough draft of the chart that I put together. And on this chart is the things that I use during sessions. And what it has to do with is balancing our emotions, balancing our thoughts, being able to bring awareness to thought patterns that are based in fear. Like when I say fear, I mean everything other than love, right? So we can talk about fear or love. When I talk about love, I talk about love, joy, and peace and truth. And to me, I feel like that is the embodiment of the divine. That is how we feel the divine in the moment. We can be stuck in our thoughts, which are pulling us to believe stories that are not true. Some of them may be true. Be afraid of the bear. Yeah, that's true. That's great. The subconscious mind does keep us safe. It helps us to get love. But it's helping us to stay safe and get love according to how we were treated as children. Now here's something interesting, because I really like to sit down and do these sessions so that I become more clear with my own words, with my own intentions, and also really truly what these sessions are doing and how I want to do them with people and how I want to train people to do this work for themselves and for others. And what I've really recognized is I used to talk about trauma a lot, and how trauma is trapping us and how we're here to heal our trauma. And what I've really been recognizing, like I said before, I am not an expert in trauma. I am not an expert of anything. I feel like I am somebody who's really, really good at healing herself and facing challenges, facing old beliefs, and being able to feel my emotions, listen to my thoughts, question what's going on, and really get to the other side of it. I feel like if I were to say that I was an expert of anything, that would be it. I'm really fucking good at facing challenges in my life. And also what I'm, becoming good at is facing the upswing of life also. As everything crashes around you and you lose everything in life because that is the divine purpose for you, then there's going to be an upswing. And I feel like that's where I am now, but I'm kind of in this weird gap, I call it, where it's like nothing new is happening, nothing bad is happening, nothing exciting is happening. It's just nothing is happening. But that's also a really good place to grow and to plant ourselves and to really, really listen. And like I said, that's what I've become really good at. And that's why I want to share this, because I have healed so much of my, like I said, I used to call it trauma. But what I'm really seeing is the reason I'm not really wanting to call it trauma anymore is because there are so many people that go through so many things, and 3,000 people could have the same thing happen to them, and they're all going to come out with a different version of it, and it's going to affect them in different ways. And it's going to affect them in different ways depending on the story that they told themselves about it. So it's not necessarily the trauma that happened that is the problem. I mean, that's what started the problem, right? But you being exposed to something that was traumatic, it's not that you're carrying forward. It's what you told yourself about it that you're carrying forward. And there's another train of thinking and of wording that I've used that I'm not really sure that I want to use anymore. I've used the word abuse a lot. And I had a conversation with someone last night that was asking me some questions about, what was your video about today and what were you talking about? And I was telling him about it, and I could tell that he wasn't really aligning with what I was saying. And I spend a lot of time really sitting with that. It's like, why did he not like how, it's hard to explain, but I could just feel that he wasn't picking it up. He wasn't picking up what I was putting down. But I get it. I get it, because when you use strong words, sometimes you lose people. Because when I'm using those strong words, I see my intention, and other people, because the word abuse is such a strong word, the word trauma is such a strong word, it's going to affect them in different ways. And so I was really, really sitting with that, and I was like, okay, I'm really getting this more. Because what I've been talking about is how we are affected as children by how our parents treated one another, how they treated themselves, and how we were treated. Also how they were treated, right? Like, we have this generational wounding that we just continue and continue and continue with until we actually stop and face it and heal it and then free it. And one of the big things that I've been talking about is how it feels like we've been abused as children. But abuse can have so many different layers to it. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't even like that word anymore. I mean, there's blatant abuse, right? Like physical abuse, that's abuse. But what I've been seeing is when we're being treated, when we're being hurt mentally and emotionally, to me that seems like abuse. Is it? It probably is. But the point is, I'm feeling like if I stop using that word, more people may be open to doing this work. Because the second somebody feels like you're saying that they were abusive parents, they're going to have their backs up against the wall, and they're going to feel triggered, and they're not going to want to dive into the conversation. And I feel like, well, I mean, I would have been the exact same way for many, many years. If anybody would have said that I was abusive as a parent, I would have been very triggered and very defensive and very hurt by somebody saying that. But through the years, because I've been diving so deeply into how I treat my children, how I was treating myself, how I was overreactive, I really got to the place where I was very much okay admitting that the way I treated my kids sometimes was abusive. So I was okay calling myself an abusive mom. But if you say that to some people, they would imagine that you're like, off the wall, like, beating your kids. But to me, because I've really been diving into how people need to be treated mentally and emotionally, and if we're not treating them in those ways with love, that to me that seems like abuse. And so what I'm trying to say is I'm really wanting to step away from those words, because what I'm actually seeing is I will probably help more people heal if I don't use such strong language. And this is literally the reason why I sit down and make these fucking videos, because I feel like it's the divine speaking through me. A couple days ago, I made one of my first videos during the week, and it was so powerful, but it pushed me into such deep inner child healing that it brought up a lot for me. And I started to feel very, very anxious. There was so much anxiety that I was dealing with. And what I realized yesterday is me sitting down and doing these videos with these sessions is what heals me and helps me. And I hadn't done one for a few days, and I was really feeling the effects of it, because I was running from the pain instead of facing it, which is what my work is all about, is facing our pain. Because you'll never heal it unless you face it. But in order to face it, you have to feel the pain from it. So that's what we're here to do together today. But like I said, I'm really sitting with how our stories were formed, and the best way to help myself. When I call it heal with me, I mean heal with me. Like, I've been doing this for 19 years, and I'm still struggling in some areas of my life. And so I sit down to do this to help me on my journey to become a healthier, happier, more loving version of myself. And so when I say heal with me, I want to help you heal, but I'm also doing it for myself as well. And so, like I said, I've just been really envisioning and feeling how we felt as kids, and really just, now I'm diving more into this space of, well, let's just sit and imagine how we felt, and really start to revisit the stories that we told ourselves. Instead of judging who was abusive and who wasn't, why don't we just go with that? Because what I feel is happening is, for many, many years, people's feelings were not important. Like I said, if you weren't being hurt physically, nobody thought twice about how we were feeling mentally and emotionally. And so then we started to see lots of people with depression and anxiety, and it started to become a thing where now we have words to describe these things. And so now we're starting to see that how we treat people emotionally and mentally is really fucking powerful. And if we're busy parents where we are not home to spend time with our kids, they're going to tell themselves the stories about why we're not home. And usually what happens as children is the stories are based in how it's their fault. And that's what we did also, is we told ourselves stories about, like, why is my dad angry all the time? It's got to be my fault because fill in the blank. I am worthless. I'm just looking at my chart. You know, these are some of the core wounds that I wrote down on my chart to work with. I'm worthless. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. I'm pitiful. I'm weak. You know, like when we start to really sit with it, and everybody's family was different. And it's not about judging. It's not about blaming. We're here to forgive. But to me, the word forgive means for I give myself peace. So we're here to forgive the past. That's actually what today's session is about. The first session was about healing our relationship and connecting to the inner child, and learning how to rest and play, and really feed our soul. That was part 1. Part 2, which I did yesterday, was about connecting with the masculine, the divine masculine, and the divine feminine within. And so how I see that for women, which is who I'm really making these workshops for, as a woman, to be able to visualize and feel the energy of the divine feminine puts us into this space of nourishing, or being nurturing and loving and gentle, yet very, very strong, and very, very kind, and very loving, yet very loved. And then when we imagine the divine masculine, who is very strong, yet not rigid, just very powerful. He's a provider, he's a protector, he's a lover. You know, to be able to envision that and imagine it and feel it puts us in this space of who we want to become and who we want to bring or to attract into our lives. And so when we were looking at that yesterday, that was our relationship with being open to giving and receiving. You know, balancing the emotions of anxiety and trust, being able to trust ourselves, but being open to trust others, being open to trust the universe, God, divine, whatever you call it. And so that's what we were working with yesterday. And so this is actually aligned with the chakra system. So the first day was the base chakra. Yesterday was the sexual chakra. And today what we're focusing on is the solar plexus chakra, which is our internal power. So we're connecting to our inner power today. That's what we're going to do. And what that's helping us do is to heal the relationship with our past and with our loved ones. So as we're looking, you know, from what we've done, the first session that we did, and if you want to go through all of the sessions, they're on my website, letlovelead.ca, and they're all going to be there. All of these 8 sessions are going to be there as an online workshop. So when we look at this, the base chakra, we're dealing with the relationship with self, which is creating our health and our happiness. That is the base foundation. And like I said in the videos that I've been making, I realized that I actually haven't been connecting with my inner child for a while. And that's also why my life has been feeling really fucking sideways and zigzaggy too. And so when I did that session, I was like, holy shit. I have not been connecting to myself and loving myself enough to build a foundation upon that. So if we're building, you know, businesses or relationships with partners or families or whatever it is, if we're building that, but we don't have a foundation of self-love, it's going to crumble eventually, because like I've been saying, this new world, this new earth, this new vibration, this new consciousness, whatever it is that's happening, it feels like it's a time of no fucking baggage comes with you. Like, you know how they said in the Bible, getting into heaven, or a rich man getting into heaven is like a camel getting through the eye of a needle, I think is how it spoke. But I feel like that's really applying to us now, where if we're carrying a bunch of baggage, meaning resentments from the past, regrets from the past, or things that we think we need in order to be happy, worries, if we're looking at the world and we're still distracted and divided, or we're, blaming or trying to please or trying to save other people, we're just fucking spinning our wheels. We're just like a fucking hamster on a hamster wheel. I wrote this book once, and I use this picture in a few of my books. I've written 12 books now, but I've used this picture, and it's actually the brain on this wheel, and it's just like spinning and spinning and spinning. And that's really how it feels when we're trying to get and trying to do and trying to have. God is like, it's fucking time to trust. It's time to trust and allow me to do it. And this is where control comes from, is we believe we're separate and we're trying to do it without the divine. To me, when I see God or say God, I imagine a divine mother and a divine father energy. I am never telling anybody how to envision God or the divine. Everybody has their own way of connecting. That is mine. But I feel like it's time to be like, it's time. It's time to move forward. And to me, what I believe that they've always been talking about in the Bible when they talk about heaven is here in this moment in our hearts. Like the love and the joy and the peace and the truth in our hearts. And we find that in this moment between our thoughts. I always say the space between our thoughts is where love lives, where truth speaks, where peace flows, and where joy dances. And like I said before, that to me is the embodiment of the divine. So how much time are we spending in our thoughts, believing all these stories that we told ourselves as kids that, I'm not good enough, and that's why dad's always working. I must be a bad kid because somebody's always yelling around me. You know what I mean? We all have these stories, and we're all believing them without even knowing it, because like I said before, it's the subconscious mind. Subconscious means we're not aware. We're not aware that it's speaking. And it's not about trying to change what's happening around you. It's always an inner job. It's to shift those stories by seeing them from the space of consciousness. You cannot reprogram something from the same level of consciousness it was programmed from. So you wanting to change your stories means that your stories are not going to change. What I have found through my years, and this is why I really want to do these sessions now with other people, is because if we're connecting to the truth in the moment, which is you are safe, you are loved, you are amazing, you are incredible, we're providing everything for you. When we're really truly believing that by being in the moment and connecting to the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, or whatever it is that you believe in, when we're really believing that, we're reaching this space where we are not afraid. There's a lot of religious teachings out there that are trying to get us to be afraid, and I do not believe that that is healthy in any way, shape, or form. I believe that what is healthy is for us to not be afraid. And that's why it's time to really start to focus on what is lifting me up, what is helping me feel powerful, what is helping me feel unified and loving and whole, and keep doing that. So when we're connecting to what we love, being in nature, being in the moment, laughing, singing, playing, dancing, writing, whatever it is that we like to do, when we're in the moment, being carried by joy and expressing ourselves openly and honestly, we're being divinely moved. And when we're divinely moved, it means we're aligned with the truth, which is love and joy and peace and truth. And when we're aligned with that, we know that we're safe. We know things are working out. We know that we're good enough, like I said. And so the stories that are not true, that are trying to pull us into these rabbit holes so that we believe that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that, you know, that there was something wrong with us or even our parents, right? When we're believing those stories, we're in fear, which means we're not in love. We're in our thoughts. We're not aligned with truth. And nerves that fire together wire together. So the more we think those thoughts, the more we're going to feel the emotions, because our thoughts generate our emotions. And when we're feeling those emotions from the thoughts that we're thinking that are not true, they're putting us into these states of fear. And what's happening is those neural pathways just continue to fire and fire and fire and wire together. And it's like, it's just this well-laid path. And we don't even think about it. That's why it's subconscious. We just worry. We just get upset. We just get afraid. We just feel lonely. But if we start to question these things and ask, why am I so afraid today? What is actually going on? And then you start to trace your thoughts and you're like, holy fuck. Well, that's not even true. Why would I be worried about what's going to happen next when I could actually be here in this moment enjoying what is? Why would I be regretting something that happened in the past when I can be here enjoying what is? But the thing is, in order to heal the past, we do get to look at it. But like I said, if we look at it from this lens of love and this state of consciousness where we are in the arms of the divine, in the moment, in the void, whatever it is, there are so many different levels of consciousness. But when we get to the one where we just are, we're not trying, we're not regretting, we don't need, even the world makes sense because it's all happening for a purpose. When we get into those spaces, that is where we really get to look back at our thoughts. And we don't actively try to shift them. They just naturally shift by us believing something other than that. So really, truly, the more time you spend in the moment, you are healing without even knowing that you're healing. And I meditate for at least an hour a day, and I definitely encourage people to meditate for at least an hour a day. If you're doing anything less than that, yes, you're calming your brain down. There's nothing wrong with that. But you will not be getting to the levels of consciousness that you need to reach in order to actually heal and shift these old ways of thinking and things that you believe to be true. So that's why when I work with people, I really want people to be very committed. If you're not committed enough to do an hour a day of meditation and really committing to your healing, then I don't want to work with those people, because really I don't see the point. They're not going to reach the levels of healing that they need to reach in order to see changes and major healing in their life. I'm not judging people that don't spend that much time, but I just really want to work with people that are going to get results, and you're not going to get results. It's like, that would just be like talking to a personal trainer but never going to the gym. Well, I would never work with somebody. You know, if I was training somebody to get their body healthy and they wanted to come and see me for an hour, but they didn't want to do the work and they never got on a treadmill, I'd be like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And so that's what I'm really starting to tell people. It's like, put yourself first. Put yourself first. And that's where I am, and that's where I've been probably since I got sick. When I got sick, that was my, brick wall, where it's like, okay, so you keep talking about healing, you keep talking about it, but you're not slowing down. I'm an overdoer, I'm an overachiever, and those are all coming from my core wounds of not being good enough. People that don't feel good enough are the ones that are always trying to please and do more and work way too much. And that was me, and that's when I got cancer the first time. I knew the second that I was diagnosed with cancer, the first time, that God was saying, yeah, we're not pissing around here anymore. It's time to do your work. It's time to start to love yourself. And we're going to slow you the fuck down because you're not doing it on your own. So I know this from experience. I know what happens when we don't slow down. I know that our bodies get sick. I know that our lives fall the fuck apart when we don't listen. I know this. So that's why I'm here to share the story, so that I can help people before their lives fall the fuck apart. So anyway, with that, what I want to do today is a session on helping you connect to your inner power. So I'm just sitting with that and just feeling that through my body, because we can give our power away to so many things, to other people. We give our power to the past. We give our power to the future. We give our power to the world and what we see happening in the world. We give our power to other people. And what we're here to do is take it back. And it's interesting because what I've really been sitting with, like I said, and I'm trying to find better words for it when I describe it, but what really should happen? And I mean, in a perfect world is what I'm trying to say. We do not live in a perfect world. We live in a world where we have to make money to pay our bills, where families seldom have two parents in the household. Like, I was married, had two children, and left my marriage when my kids, I think they were 5 and 6. 4 and 5, I think they were 4 and 5 or 4 and 6 when I left. Fuck, that was hard. It was hard on me. It was hard on my kids. And yet, the choice is, do you stay in a shitty marriage or do you leave? And I made the right choice, but it's so very, very, very hard to be a single parent. I'm sure it's very, very hard to be a single dad, but it's very, very hard to be a single mom. So as parents, we're doing the best that we know how to do, but our best isn't always the best, right? Same with our parents. Our parents did the best that they knew how to do from what they learned, from what they were experienced, and from what they were going through. We're all doing our best. But the point of this is, there's a point where we need to sit down and be like, but what did we really need? What do our kids really, really need? And this is the point where a lot of people aren't getting it right now. Because if you really want to heal your relationship with your children and with yourself, it's hard work. Because there's a lot of shit that you're going to have to take responsibility for. And that's not easy. And we're also here to speak the truth about, wow, my parents were out of control a lot too. And when I say that, what I mean is you come home from a hard day's work and you've had shit going on all day. People are nasty. You're working your ass off and you still aren't making enough to pay your bills. And you come home and your kids are fighting over who has the bigger bowl of chips. I'm just using this as an example because kids fight over the stupidest shit. But that's how kids are. So, as parents, we don't have a really long fuse by the time we come home. And then we're yelling and we're screaming and we're saying stupid shit to our kids. And what our kids get from that is, I'm tired and you haven't been paying attention to me for 6 weeks now and I'm done and I just want some love. Like, do you know what I mean? I believe the kids always have a reason for their outbursts. And what I learned after my first cancer journey is to sit and actually talk to my kids and be like, what's going on here? And when you really start to ask your kids what's happening, they tell you that they're frustrated because you're always yelling and you're always angry and you're always picking on one of them. And whether it's true or not, that's their experience. And our job as parents is to put everything down and fucking listen and then do what they're telling us they need us to do. And not in a way of overgiving, but in a way of, wow, my kids really need this and I'm really going to give this to them. I'm really going to do this for them. But here's the point. When we start to heal this shit, it hurts because we see that we were too busy or we were too addicted, because there's a lot of our time that is wasted scrolling on social media or drinking or partying or dating or whatever it is. We all have different things that we've done stupidly. And it's time to face that. And when we want to face it, it also means we have to stop doing the things that are no good for us and our children. So it's always just there are always opportunities to heal. And so what I'm trying to say is, we've all fucked up as parents. Our parents were doing their very best, but they fucked up too. And like I said, I feel like I've always been coming from a place of like judging people too harshly and speaking about it too harshly, where I'm starting to really forgive more. And like I said, the word forgive means for I give myself peace. And when we can see from a perspective of why people did the things that they did, like our parents or other people that, we felt hurt by as we were growing up or through our lifetime, if we can see where they're coming from, then we can reach the state of forgiveness. We have to do that for ourselves, though. Oftentimes we can forgive other people, but we still believe it was our fault. I talked to somebody the other day, and they were very, very convinced that them being abused as a child was their fault because they were hard to handle. And my answer to that is, there's no fucking way on the planet that a child ever deserves to be hurt, ever. And now I'm opening this up to, it's not just physical, getting slapped or whatever it was or hit. That should never happen. that is never okay. But now I'm opening this up to being shamed, being blamed, being yelled at, but also our parents being too busy to spend time with us. And again, there's oftentimes a reason why these things are happening, but it doesn't mean it's not affecting our kids. And it doesn't mean it didn't affect us. So, once again, it's not about blame, not about shame. It's just about, holy fuck, yeah, it really hurt. And I always told myself the story that I wasn't good enough. And I always felt rejected. And I always felt ashamed. But it wasn't my fault. But it wasn't my parents' fault either, because they were doing their best. And then we get to sit and do this with the relationship with our children. It's like, holy shit, I was trying my very best, but they needed me. They needed me more. And that means you get to forgive your kids for driving you crazy, because kids drive us fucking crazy. Any parent knows that. But they're not doing it on purpose, and neither are we. So I'm not trying to be the whole Pollyanna, like everything's going to be perfect and we're going to forgive everybody and life is going to be fucking wonderful all the time. But what if we could do more? What if we can be kinder? What if we can forgive a little bit every day? What if we can stop and talk to our kids more and listen to them more? And really, like the whole thing to me, I feel when people, I'm just moving my legs. My leg is so sore. Fuck, my leg is really sore today. We can be out of control. When we're out of control, it means we're not in control of our words and our actions and our emotions and we're reacting. Our kids say something, we're reacting and overreacting. Or we can stop and take a breather and get into the moment and respond from love instead. This is what I've written books about. And this is what I want these sessions to be about. And this is what I learned with my own kids, because I was a rageaholic. And I realized that I needed to do everything that I thought my kids should be doing, and everybody in my life. I always thought people need to go outside more. People need to meditate more. People need to hold their emotions more. People need to calm their shit more. And then I was like, fuck, I need to do this. And I started to do it. And, it's been years now, but I give myself a timeout. When I'm having an argument with my kids, I go to my room and I put my hand on my heart and I breathe. And there's always a place that I get to where I realize I was the fucking problem and I can be the solution. And that's where I go out and I apologize and I have a talk with my kids and I tell them that it wasn't their fault. And then, I also tell them, well, these are things that maybe you could do to help me, right? It's not about giving our kids everything. It's about giving them love and respect and becoming a person who responds from love instead of reacting. When we're reacting and getting out of control, it's because we're stuck in fear. But, for me as a parent, the voices that would show up is, you need to control these kids. You need to get respect from these kids. And there was always an element of fear for my safety. I would always be afraid if my kids were acting out that they were going to end up being crack addicts at some point, or they were going to drink and drive and hurt somebody or hurt themselves at some point. This is literally when they were kids. Or I was afraid for my own safety as my kids got older, that I don't know, it was just weird. Like, all of my thoughts were so out of alignment with reality. But that's what drove me crazy. And that's when I was a controlling parent. And that's when I would yell and scream and be, batshit crazy. So today, what we're doing is stepping into our inner power, which means we are harnessing that inner power instead of giving it to others, but also getting out of control in our thoughts and our actions as well. So I invite you to take some nice full deep breaths, place your hand on your heart, and really bring yourself into this moment. Feel every breath moving into and out of your lungs. And imagine yourself in a beautiful scene in nature, or go out into nature if you can. But whether it's your real senses or your subtle senses, always remember that engaging with your senses pulls you into your body, into the moment, into love and joy and peace and truth, and it pulls you away from your thoughts. You can't think and experience through your senses at the same time, which means you can experience through your senses and think at the same time. And it's not just, like I said, meditating on a mountain. It's laughing, it's playing, it's singing, it's relaxing. Any of these things that you do that bring you into the moment pulls you into joy, and it pulls you into the love and the truth, like I said. So imagine yourself walking in nature and feel every step that you're taking. Feel the ground beneath your feet. And look around you and see how beautiful it is where you are. See the sky, the trees, see the water if there's water. And really smell the air. Smell the freshness of the air. And with every step you're taking, feel all of the tension melting away from your body, from your mind, from your heart. Wherever you're holding tension, feel it just melting away so quickly and effortlessly. Feel this wave moving right from the top of your head. And as it moves down through the top of your head, you're releasing all of the tension through your cells. It's permeating every part of your head. Feel it as it moves down through your shoulders, your arms, your back, your abdomen, your chest, your abdomen, all of the organs, the connective tissue, everything in between, down through your hips, your legs, your knees, your lower legs, right down through your feet. Just feel this total reset happening where you are here, you are present, you are ready to receive. You are ready to receive this gift from the divine. And this gift is this gift of being powerful, full of your own power. But the interesting thing is it's always been there. So place your hands on your belly and imagine this beautiful yellow glow. And just feel this fan turning on through your abdomen. And it's just this beautiful yellow light that starts to circulate. And And as this light starts to circulate, feel it moving up through your body as well as down through your body at the same time. So you've got this beautiful yellow circulating. It's like a tornado moving up and a tornado moving down. And just feel this energy of releasing the attachments that you have to things that you believed that you needed in order to be happy. So let's really sit with this and really dive into releasing these things that we've been hanging on to that have been pulling us from our power. When you're giving someone else or something else your power, you're like leaking. It's like you got this big energy leak. It's like you're this great big beautiful helium balloon and somebody just pops a fucking hole in it. Well, your energy is being drained. And we do this without even knowing that we're doing it. So let's really sit with this and just imagine yourself filling up. So just imagine that it's not just your body anymore. Imagine that you're this, let's use 10 feet. This 10-foot diameter balloon. And you are in it. So there's no actual lining, but it's just energy. Just imagine this yellow balloon of energy, this yellow aura, this yellow glow, and see that as a 10-foot diameter. And it's all around you, up and down and all around. And it's moving in all different directions as well. And just see that this is the energy that pulls your power so like intentionally, beautifully, that this inner power that you're harnessing is used to love yourself first. It's igniting your health, it's igniting your happiness. And it's also what you use to love others. Like, you know, when we're talking about the masculine and feminine, this is more romantic relationships, a partnership. So this is what's calling in. It's harnessing your own power, which means you're going to be attracting a partner that harnesses theirs. And it's helping you, I'm just sitting with this for a second. This power keeps you in your own power, which means you continually get pulled into the moment where you're aligned with the divine, meaning you're being used by the divine for a divine purpose. You are responding with love and purpose and intention, but the intention is for your growth and the growth of others, including the planet itself and humanity. So when we're seeing how powerful we really, really are, a really huge part of that power is letting go of what we think needs to happen. Allowing ourselves, oh, I see this now. Okay, it's like we're this beautiful, beautiful lamp that is so bright and so powerful and so magical. But what we actually need to do is plug in to the divine and allow it to continue to generate this power and to determine what that power is used for. So this really, you know, in the next parts of this series, I'm going to go through letting go. I just need to move this puzzle piece because otherwise Okay, so when we're plugging into the divine, that continues to power our inner power. So imagine yourself cutting the cords that you have to regrets and resentment from the past. Cut the cord to your past. Cut the cord to your future where you're worrying or you're thinking you need things to happen your way. Cut it. We're not in control. Why would we want to be in control? Cut those cords. Cut the cord to the things that are going on in the world. They're not affecting us unless we allow them to. And know that everything is divinely on purpose. Cut the cords to the distraction, the division, the disturbance, whatever it's doing, cut it. Cut the cord to blaming others or pleasing others or saving or fixing others. There's another one that I had. Needing others, sorry. Cut those cords. And when we get into our inner power, we're really allowing ourselves to harness our own anger, because we're wanting to balance that. When we're never ever getting angry, that's actually harmful. We need to start to express our anger in a healthy way so that we can reach the peace and understand what peace is. But if we're always pleasing, that's not peace. That's not power, pleasing other people in order to keep the peace. So we're finding the balance between that. We're finding the balance of being able to listen to others and to be able to listen to our inner child and really see the things that we could do to create healthier relationships with ourselves, with others, with the divine. Also forgiving, like I said, for I give myself peace. Cutting these ties to the things that you believe other people did to hurt you, and really starting to step into that, space where you see it from a different perspective, that it wasn't your fault, but it wasn't theirs either. Like I said, we're letting go of the need to blame, to save, to need, or to please others, and to just be. Just be in the relationship. Be in the friendship. Be a parent. Be a child. You were a child. Be a daughter. Be a sibling. Be an inspiring person on the planet that can help others do better through the ways that you're learning to be a more loving, compassionate, powerful person. So really, really sit with that and feel yourself filling with this power. And once again, put your hand on your belly, because that's the solar plexus chakra. That's where it comes from. And just really sit again with these 3 steps that we've gone through. We started with the base chakra, which is the relationship with self, connecting to the inner child, and that's helping our health and our happiness. Then we went through the sensual sexual chakra, where it's relationships with the divine masculine, divine feminine, being able to be open to give and receive and trusting. And then we're working today with our inner power, forming a healthier relationship with our past and with our loved ones, and really being connected to the divine, where the power's coming from. So thank you so much for that. just continue to connect to this inner power for the next day, and I will see you tomorrow for part 4. Take care.